Guys, welcome back to the Physique Factory Podcast, and today it is just me. We've had a shitter of a week in terms of just being busy, and James is actually competing today, so yeah, we never got the chance to actually do the podcast together, which is a bit unfortunate, but I thought I'd hop on and just keep it rolling consistently. So first of all, obviously, as I say, James is competing today, so best of luck to him. I think this is just a bit of a warm-up show for him, and what I realised last week when I competed on the Sunday is that I used to wonder why the fuck anyone bothers with a warm-up show. I was like, what's the point? And then I hopped out on stage last Sunday and I was like a rabbit in headlights. I was like, shit, I forgot I haven't done this for 5 years. And like by the BNBF do a morning show or like a pre-judging sort of thing during the day, and then an evening show. So by the time the evening show came round, I was back in the game a little bit. But yeah, I must admit that first 10 minutes on stage or whatever, I was like, shit, it doesn't matter how much you practice the posing. Once you get out there, it's a different story. Once you're underneath the lights, once you see the judges looking up at you and like the pressure, it's just like shit. I'm gonna move this microphone a little bit closer actually. You'll probably realise that I probably talk more shit when I'm by myself than even with James, so this will be an interesting episode. But as I say, I just wanted to keep the consistency going with this because we have been banging these out week in, week out, and we have been obviously pretty consistent, and you guys are listening, so we might as well keep it up. So yeah, obviously I competed last weekend. I came third in my category. It was quite a strong class actually. I knew going into the Midlands it was going to be. It's always a strong show, like the BNBF Midlands is always a strong show, and then there's Northern next week as well, which is always quite a strong show as well. My category, there's 6 people in it, and all 6 of them were a decent standard, I would say. When you look at the pictures, you're like, fuck me. Like I didn't realise when I was backstage, because you don't look at anyone too much when they're pumping up, or I don't anyway. I did look at Chris Palin, I must admit, because I knew Chris Palin was incredibly shredded, and seeing that man pumping up, I was like, that sounds fucking gay, doesn't it? But seeing him pumping up backstage, I was I was in awe of his condition. It was very, very impressive. So fair play to Chris, and well done to him for winning the class. He, in my opinion, clear winner of the class. He just had a condition that no one else had. But yeah, it was a strong class. I think I was in the mix for second. Well, I know I was in the mix for second. I talked to the judges afterwards. A few of them had me second, a few of them had me third. One guy had me fifth. Fuck knows. So yeah, but it is what it is. Got the British Finals invite. I don't think personally it was my best showing. I don't think it was bad. I think I'd done the job for a qualifier. I think I can definitely be leaner. Looking back at the pictures, seeing me on stage, seeing you in the gym, seeing the pictures in the gym is one thing, right? And in that kind of natural lighting, but when you get on stage, it is very different. And I think I was maybe 90%, I would say, at the weekend. I think to do the British Finals, which I'll be honest, I'm not totally decided on yet because I'm a fat bastard. I enjoy food. No, I'm not totally decided on yet because the last couple of weeks of the prep for even the qualifier, they were tough. They were fucking tough, and to get that extra 10% out of myself that I need to get, I know that's going to be even tougher. It doesn't matter. My food is back up, and don't get me wrong, I've not ate like an asshole this week. I've ate decent, and probably worse than I should have, but it's still decent. And I've been, I've had the British Finals at the back of my mind. It's only 5 weeks today. It's not long to go. Today is kind of D-Day. It's I need to make a fucking decision. And yeah, where was I going with that? What was I fucking saying? Fuck knows. Yeah, I know I need to get, I was 90% of that show. I know I need to get leaner. I know I need to dig deep. And I know it's going to fucking hurt. And which is kind of what's putting me off a little bit. Because obviously, right now, I'm busiest I've ever been with clients. I've got more clients than I've ever had before. The business is doing better than it's ever done before. And I don't want to jeopardise that. That is my main priority, and obviously family life as well, which it takes a bit away from. But the flip side is 5 weeks. It's come on, fucking. When I see pictures of everyone else doing it in 5 weeks, I'm going to feel like an asshole if I don't do it. I'm going to be like, why the fuck didn't I do that? And I don't know if I want to leave this year's bodybuilding journey at 90%. You know what I mean? So I think I just need to fucking not pick the easy option and just fucking do it. 5 weeks, go on holiday the week after, all inclusive. That will be a fucking mess. But yeah, so we'll see how this week goes. But in my own head, I want to make a decision today. See where we go from there. But like as I say, condition was like 90%. It wasn't as good as it has been in the past. Whether or not I could have pushed second or even first with better condition, I don't know. But I have got some limitations when it comes to bodybuilding. There are some limitations. I'm not perfect. And I would say, like, obviously, just in terms of like shoulder width from the front, like, you know, my clavicles are never going to be wide enough. Which, you know, then doesn't help with that kind of V-taper thing and your lats and things like that from the front. And as much as I try and train them, it's probably never going to be that great. I'm not, like, the truth is I'm not structurally built that well for bodybuilding. I'm better built for it than I would be a basketballer, but maybe not 100% structurally built for bodybuilding. If I had wider clavicles, that'd be better. That would help anyway, put it that way. But at the same time, like, I definitely think, you know, with that extra 10% conditioning, I could be competitive at a British Finals. And if I was to go to British Finals and if I was to place in the top 5 at British Finals, I'd be ecstatic with that. My best placing I've ever had was 4th place at British Finals in a junior category, and that was, you know, I was ecstatic with that. That was a really, really great show in that time, and it was a really, really good placing. Like, I beat some big guys because I was in the junior category. I beat some guys that were like twice my weight, and like, you know, to do that for me, I thought it was pretty fucking incredible. So yeah, that's where I'm at right now. That's a little update on me. But I wanted to actually come on and talk a little bit about like the downsides of being lean, actually, and downsides of getting shredded, because there's a difference. Being lean and getting shredded. Being lean's not actually got that many downsides. Being lean's pretty fucking awesome, to be honest. Being shredded, as I say, like, I know if I want to get that extra 10%, that's going to hurt. That's going to fucking hurt. It's going to feel shit every single day. But like, there's two ways to look at this, because I don't want to downplay this, because getting shredded is fucking cool. When you're at the gym, you've got a pump, and the veins are popping, you lift your top up, and you see a six-pack, and it feels really, really good. And you can get that without the downsides of feeling really, really shit. But to get to that next level, like, fucking absolute peeled to the bone, shredded sort of thing, that is going to hurt. And when you're at that stage, the other 23 hours of the day aren't so great. You know, that hour in the gym's great, but the other 23 hours aren't so great. So again, just to clarify, there is a huge difference between dieting to get lean and dieting to get shredded. Most of my clients don't diet to get totally like peeled, like bodybuilding peeled. They diet to get lean, which is something that's like more sustainable, something that doesn't take as much sacrifice. It doesn't mean like, you know, being as strict on your food sources and things like that. You can maybe like track macros and shit like that. But when it comes to getting shredded and getting peeled, that next level kind of bodybuilding lean, you need more. You need that bit more precision. You need to push harder. You need to push for longer. And it's not really like bodybuilding stage lean. It's not like something you would look like all year. Although I do believe the guy that won my category does pretty much look like that year round, or not completely like that, but not far off it. But it's not like, yeah, so bodybuilding lean's not something that you would look like year round. It's peak condition for a certain particular kind of task. And then obviously, like, what you probably don't see a lot of people that aren't really that into bodybuilding probably don't see like the kind of off season sort of thing. Like, some people are good at sharing their off seasons, others aren't so good. Like, because to be honest, I'm not so good at sharing it. I did put some fat pictures up at the start, but like fat, and again, when I say fat, I say like people are like you weren't fat, but like bodybuilding fat, like comparatively to like 5% body fat, yeah, I'm fat at 20, if you know what I mean. And it's all, I suppose that's based on the expectations you've set for yourself, the standards you've set before. When you set the bar up here, you know, down here's fucking shit. But you know, someone else's bar might be set down here, so like, you know, that's just fucking total different thing. But yeah, like, no one's like that year round. No one just stays like that at that level of leanness. I dread to think if someone's life was like that. That would be fucking horrible. Because of the downsides we're going to talk about. And I say we, it's just me. There's no one to bounce off here. There's no James. James, I miss you. Come back. I should have got a fucking guest for this week, yeah. But to be honest, I just winged this today. I was just like, I had a few clients set up this morning. Just finished them up. I like to Sophie. I was like, oh, right. 20 minutes, I'm going upstairs. And never even told her I was doing a fucking podcast. So I was just like, I'll just go upstairs and get this done. Yeah, then I've got to go fucking paint the house. She wants me to finished that. So yeah, we're away next weekend, so it won't get done. We were away last weekend to the show, so nothing got done. So we've got a half painted house, so we need to get on with that. But that'll help me get that next level leanness, won't it? That'll get the calories burned. So yeah, getting lean isn't hard to maintain. Getting beach lean isn't hard to maintain. It does take a bit of work to get there, depending on your starting point, but it's not that hard to maintain, and it's not going to hurt to maintain it. There is going to be some sacrifice, there is going to be hard work, and it's not going to be easy either, but you don't need to have that bang on precision. You don't need to be necessarily doing fasted cardio and things like that, meal prep. You don't necessarily need to do those things. I'm not saying that you wouldn't need to do those things at all, but like it's not like all or nothing. Like for bodybuilding lean, it's like you can afford to like say, right, okay, for my lunch today I might just fucking pick up a meal deal. You know what I mean? Like that can work to get lean. And again, for most of my clients, that's going to be the case. And you know, when it comes to bodybuilding lean, you're sacrificing those social occasions, which that's a big thing as well. That kind of that hurts sometimes. Like I've been in that situation where you're sitting out for a meal and you've got like your prep meal with you. And again, if you want to get stage lean, you're gonna have to do that. You want to get beach lean, you're gonna have to pick a better option. You know what I mean? That's the difference. The more extreme the goal is, the more sacrifice you're going to have to make, and that is just the kind of the gist of it, isn't it? that I could have just came on and said the more extreme the goal, the more extreme the sacrifice you have to make. The end. Podcast done. But yeah, the social occasions, that definitely is a big downside to it, because it just makes you not want to go. You don't want to go and be that guy that's sitting there with Tupperware. Like I've not done that this year. I've not really had to. But you do then start to almost like alienate yourself a little bit. Like you don't want to go to these things because it's not congruent with your goals. Something James said last week was like, if it's not contributing to me gaining muscle or something, I'm not doing it. And it's like, you know, that's the kind of mindset that you start to get. Again, that uber focus is good in a sense, but it's obviously got its negatives as well. So yeah, I would say time commitments. If you're someone who has to do a lot of cardio, fortunately for me, I've never really had to do a lot of cardio. I've done some this year, but I didn't do a lot. 10 minutes after a session, done a high intensity kind of stuff, which was different for me, but I do kind of care about my heart, so it wasn't bad to do it. Did a little bit of heart training, but like, if you're having to do like cardio 6 times a week, some people really need to push cardio to get lean, then you know that's going to take up a lot of time. That is going to take up a lot of your time, and unless you've got a treadmill at home, or unless you're doing your cardio outside, then you're going to have to travel to the gym, and that's going to take time. And unless, as I say, if you live close to a gym, then great. If you live, you know, on the same street as a gym, great. Like the morning after the show, I woke up and done some fast cardio on the treadmill. I would actually went outside. I prefer doing my cardio outside. I prefer just getting outside, but it was absolutely fucking pissing it down. Like, absolutely fucking torrential. So I went into the hotel gym, done a little bit of cardio, and I was like, see if I just lived in a hotel where there's a gym in the building, that'd be so easy. Like, it'd make life so much easier. Like, I travel 20 minutes to the gym usually, so like, yeah, like, again, it's time commitments. It's 40 minutes worth of driving each day for me, and that's on a good day if there's no traffic and things like that. But yeah, I suppose bodybuilding as well, another thing that people sometimes seem to talk about right nowadays is that potential for like disordered eating, which I won't lie, like, again, when I first done it, it's a weird feeling when you've ate nothing but certain food sources for like 6 months, and then you come off it and it's like the reins are off and you just go fucking mental. And like the amount of like weight that I've seen people gain in the week after like finishing up their competitive season is just unbelievable. Like, there was one guy once, 40 pounds over the weekend. Like, 40 pounds, that's fucking insane. Who can gain 40 pounds? Like, granted, there'll be a lot of water weight, and like, he might have been like, you know, obviously really, really dry for being on stage, so he would have been at a low, and then obviously he ate a lot of shit, which, you know, has brought him up to that high, and then there would have been retaining water and things like that after that, but still, like, that's crazy. And that's not a healthy way to be. Like, I would say every time I've done a show prep, I've got better at handling it afterwards, and I talk about it a lot. I talk about it a lot with clients. It's like, when you get lean, you've got to think about the diet after the diet. You can't just diet down and be like, you know what, that's me done. I'm just going to fucking go back to what I was doing before, because and no one thinks that either. No one does think that. They all say, I've had clients that have left at the end of a diet phase, and they all say the same thing. They're like, oh no, I'm going to keep it up, and I'm going to keep up steps, and bullshit. No, you're not. You're not. You'll do it for a week, and then you'll give it up, and then you'll slowly slip back into your old habits, and then you'll end up looking the way you did before. And that's exactly what happens with bodybuilding too, but to more extreme. Rather than slipping back into old habits, they're like gorging everything that they haven't been able to have for the last 6 months, and it's like, it's not healthy. But like, it isn't something you can really avoid, is it? Like, I would say, as I say, every time I compete, I get better at it. I would say this year, or after that show there, like, there wasn't a huge like feeling of, oh, I want to go get this, I want to go get that. For whatever reason, I don't know. I just never really entered my head. It was more just a case of like, right, let's just get the show done, see where we're at. I decided, I had a pizza after the show, and I decided on that the night before because I watched some fucking travel documentary on some guy going to Naples, and he was on about like Nepalese style pizza and the fact they created the margarita pizza apparently. So we went to, is it Nepalese? Is that how you even say it? Fucking knows. But I went to like a Napoli style pizza place, and it fit the description that we got in that travel video, so that was pretty cool. And that was the only real thinking behind that. It was like, oh, that was cool last night, I'll go to that. Like, there wasn't like this urge to go get a fucking Domino's or go get a McDonald's or fucking do this and that. I mean, it was cool, don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed it. Like, I fucking love food. But, there just wasn't that same urge. But it doesn't start like that. You only get better at that through practice and by fucking it up really, and realising how fucked up you have made it in the past. And it's like you then start to see the show as not the end of the diet. And again, clients do the same thing. It's like, if you're dieting down for a holiday, the holiday's the end of the diet, and it's like the diet doesn't just stop. Like, the diet is something you eat every fucking day. It's not like a start point, end point. It's like lifestyle. And your diet should adjust after reaching a goal so that you can reverse back out. I refer to it with clients like, when you're dieting, you're digging a hole, you're digging yourself deep into a hole, you're upping your steps, you're upping your cardio, you're lowering your food, and you're digging yourself a dieting hole. And slowly over time, your metabolic rate's going to reduce, so the amount of calories you burn throughout the day is going to reduce. I find myself in PT sessions leaning against things like, I don't know why I just showed you an example of what leaning against things looks like, because I'm pretty sure you know what it looks like to lean against things. But like, I would usually stand, I'd usually walk around, I'd take a front side back view with clients, things like that, and I found myself sitting there like leaning against something, and it's like, that's just my brain trying to say, well, look, we're on less calories, let's try and even things out, let's try and expend less calories. So you've then got this mental battle in your head of like, you're battling what your mind wants to do, essentially. And it's always the case when you're dieting, because you're basically slowly starving yourself. Your head is going to be like, fuck that, mate, there could be a famine coming up, mate. But like, yeah, so like I refer to it as digging a dieting hole, and I'm pretty sure I've not stolen that from anyone. I think I've made that up myself, so trademarked. If you say that, you're due me 10 quid. So digging a dieting hole, and you don't just like jump out that hole and go right back up to where you were. You've got to gradually build your way back up, build some steps to get back up. I've never worked in this part of the phrase yet, but you need to get back out that hole, and you don't just go from being at the bottom of the hole to jumping right out. You've got to like gradually bring things up, and then as you gradually bring things up, your metabolic rate will start to come up as well, and then you'll get to this point where it's like you're still fairly lean, still in great shape, but you're eating a lot of food. And that is successfully, for me, reversing out the diet. And then depending on your goals, like if you're a client who wants to maintain it fairly easy, you can then start to take away like tracking methods and things like that, and start to look at intuitive eating and things like that. For me, with the kind of bodybuilder mindset, and I'm quite data driven as well, I quite like seeing how many calories I'm eating and things like that, or even knowing, not so much seeing, but like knowing. For me it's like, okay, we'll start driving this food back up a little bit again, we'll start doing some sort of gaining phase or focus on performance, things like that. So it depends on where you're at from there, but you cannot just jump back out of that, and you cannot stay in it either. You need to get yourself out of that eventually, or you're going to end up in a bad place. And a lot of clients, like, particularly I want to say females, come to me in that position where it's like they've dug themselves a hole without really meaning to. They're not eating a lot of food, and they never, well, maybe they have in the past, but like, you know, females that are eating like 1,200 calories and not losing weight, like, they're either tracking that wrong, which is definitely a viable option, or because they've been eating that little for that long, their body's just adapted to it, and as a result they feel lazy, as a result they feel tired, as a result they feel lack of energy. Grab it. You know, it's the same thing because they're in that diet and whole. And you know, when you get someone that signs up that's in that position and you say, right, we need to get your food up, they're like, what? I want to lose weight. And it's like, but what am I going to do? You're on 1,200 calories. Where do you expect me to go from here? Do you expect me to cut you down to 800? Or is it that you're lying? Is it that you're tracking things wrong? Is it that you're not mentioning things? That's the situation you're in. But no one wants to hear that. No one wants to hear, you know, we'll bring your food up, we'll dig you out of the hole first before we start digging another hole. But anyway, I tell them that. I tell them that. And I you know, I'm at the stage now. Obviously, as I say, I'm busier than I've ever been. It's like when you're maybe not as busy, you're sometimes a bit cautious to say that in case someone's like, you know what, well, I don't want to do this. But nowadays, I'm like, well, you can fuck off if you don't want to do this, right? that's kind of the stage we're at. Like either do it right or fucking leave, because I'm not going to go against my ethics just because you want fast results. And if someone does want fast results, like, cool, we can do that. We can hit things hard temporarily, but not if your starting point is 1,200 calories, because we've got nowhere to go. But you know, with that again, like following on from that, like if you are going to hit things super hard, if you're going to like really drop calories, if you're going to really increase the expenditure and things like that, that's got to have a beginning and an end. You can't just fucking hit hard continuously. It's like, okay, you know, this next 5 weeks leading into the British finals, do you think I'm just going to like gradually bring things down? No, I'm going to fucking go in all guns blazing. So you can do that for a set period of time, but to do that indefinitely is just fucking retarded, to be honest. Not mincing my words today, am I? So yeah, where was I at with that? Fuck knows. Fuck knows. Bodybuilding again, and getting to that next stage of lean. We were talking about the kind of disordered eating that comes with that, or I was talking about it. There's no we today. Keep forgetting that. You know, you're looking at measuring your food to the last gram. That's something. That's something that you'll need to do if you want to do that, because again, if you're just want to get lean, you could probably like, what I sometimes get clients to do is like 100 grams of chicken. I'll get them to weigh it for 2 weeks or something, right? And after 2 weeks, like, you kind of know what 100 grams looks like. It's maybe like a pan full of chicken or whatever. And then, you know, you can kind of be a little less accurate with it. Again, depends on the goal, depends on the client, depends on blah, 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 you know, a lot of stuff. But, you know, if you're just looking to get lean but not, like, stage lean, then you can do that. But if you want to get stage lean, you're going to have to measure out your food to the last gram. There's not going to be a crumb of that fucking food that's getting missed. So that's definitely something. The food sources, generally speaking, quite plain, quite simple, like potatoes and chicken. To be honest, there's no better food sources for dieting down for a bodybuilding competition than fucking potatoes, chicken, any lean mince, not lean mince, but lean meats really. To be honest, so like prawns, for example, they're high in volume. I've never personally dieted down on prawns. I always just stick to chicken. Turkey, some people use turkey. Venison, if you want to get very fancy and very expensive. We used to use a thing called Piedmontese beef, which is a really lean beef. Don't know if you get that anymore. It was pretty cool. You know, all those sorts of things, obviously. Whitefish, but fuck that stink. But like, yeah, chicken, potatoes, rice, oats, protein powder, you know, generally speaking, it's going to be foods like that. You can diet down, obviously, on other foods, but generally speaking, in terms of food volume, in terms of fullness, in terms of health, I'm picking simple, single ingredient foods, non-processed foods. You know, if you're having a bowl of cereal post-workout, I know James does that, but like for me, like I'd be hungry again an hour after that. You know what I mean? If I'm on reduced food as it is anyway, I'm wanting the food that's going to keep me feeling fuller for longer, and it's going to be more micronutrient dense. So personally, that's what I'm going to go for. Fucking cream of rice. Don't start me on that shit. Like, that is the worst. Like, that's the worst thing that's ever happened to bodybuilding. You know that? Like, it's just fucking terrible. I've like basically, I've had it before and basically felt like I'm going to shit myself within like 5 minutes. It's just like I wouldn't comment on it if I hadn't had it. and the only way I can describe it is it tastes like if you got sand and put some chocolate flavour in for it. It's fucking terrible. And then added shitting yourself after it. Just clarify, I didn't shit myself, but just about this. But like, it's just fucking terrible. Like, and then there's like actually like fucking next to zero micronutrients in it because it's so processed, and it's like, again, if you're off season struggling to get food in and that helps you get food in, then yeah, maybe I can see its usage there. You know, squares bars and fucking cereals and things like that. I can see their usages in an off-season situation. Bagels too. I fucking love a bagel. Like, I'm not gonna lie, but like, I don't see it as good bodybuilding food. I don't see it as getting bang for your buck or getting quality ingredients in there. And again, I'm talking about bodybuilding, but again, that relates back to just getting lean. Again, like, you can pick these food sources when you just want to get lean. But what's going to give you more bang for your buck? What's going to keep you feeling fuller for longer? What's the healthier option that's going to give you those micronutrients that you're potentially not getting in? So yeah, there's that. Eating out, as I say, like I was talking about social occasions earlier, boozing obviously isn't an option, apart from those guys that do a bottle of wine the night before a show. Never seen any of that backstage at the weekend, to be fair. I did see people drinking Monsters though, which I think is fucking weird. Like, who's getting on stage and posing properly after a can of Monster? Like, my stomach would be bloated out to shit. But yeah, like, you know, eating out's not an option when you're bodybuilding. Again, it is if you want to get lean, but it's not if you're bodybuilding. If you want to get lean, you just want to pick like the options that are going to be more congruent with your goals, and that's fine. But there's, like, again, as I said, every inch of your food has to be like weighed out to the gram, and you can't do that when you're at a restaurant. You can't account. You don't know how much fucking oil they've used. You don't know what they're doing with that. You get crab it in a bodybuilding diet, like I talked about, digging that diet in hole. When you're deep in that hole, you're going to be more crabby, you're going to be more snappy, you're not going to be feeling 100%. And to be honest, like, I'm not a crabbit person. My wife might watch that, disagree, but like in general, I'm relatively positive. But like, yeah, even so, like, you know, you do just get a bit like, what's the word I'd want to use, like, yeah. You know, it's just snappy almost, like, more than anything. It's more like just less patience, that's what I'd say. But yeah, that's definitely another thing that comes with it. Some people get poor sleep. Personally, I have not suffered with that at all. Maybe I'm not lean enough. Maybe that extra 10% will get there. But some people just struggle to sleep. They struggle to get to sleep. I thought on like peak week that I might have got that, but no, slept like a baby every night. I have a very good bedtime routine, I must admit. Like, I'm so routine to go to bed at the same time every night. I wake up at the same time every day. I fucking drink my chamomile tea. I'm like an old woman. You know, I'm very well routined with that shit. So that might just be all the power to that. You pee a lot, which, that's a weird one. You're holding on to less water, you're eating less carbs, you're drinking a lot of water to fill yourself up, so as a result it just flows through you. So yeah, you definitely pee a lot. Like, although I would say my sleep was good, I like near the end of prep there, I was waking up every night for a piss, every single night. But I was always getting back to sleep, so I don't count that as poor sleep. But yeah, you do pee a lot. Another thing that happens in the bedroom is lack of sex drive. Because I don't know if that happens not naturally. I think it does, but like, especially as a natural bodybuilder, your natural test levels are going to drop. So, you know, your hormones are all going to be out of whack, to be honest. Which again is part of the kind of side effects that you're feeling a lot of the time. But yeah, lack of sex drive, which might upset your wife, your missus, you know, bit inside, might upset them all. The bit inside might be dumped, who knows, because you just don't fancy it. So there's that, and as I say, lower testosterone, which obviously isn't great from a muscle building perspective, but you're not going to be building muscle at that point anyway. Recovery can start to take a bit of a hit as well. Brain fog kicks in. Brain fog is the one thing that fucking pisses me off more than anything. It's like, as I say, like, I don't want this prep to jeopardize my business, and the brain fog is fucking real. It's real. Like, my brain fog at the best of times is fucking shit. But like, yeah, it's definitely something that kicks in. Probably I was about 4 weeks out, I think, when it really started kicking. And then obviously all that stuff we've just mentioned, or I've just mentioned, the effect that that's having on everyone around you. So I'm going to stop there with the advice, because, you know, it's fucking cool. I do it for a reason, right? I think it's really cool. It's really cool pushing your body to the extreme, seeing what you can achieve. And when you do anything extreme, there's going to be extreme side effects to it. If you want to go to the moon, that's going to have some extreme downsides. If you want to be the best cricket player in the world, which fucking knows why anyone would want to do that, it's such a shit sport. But yeah, that would come with downsides too. When you're chasing anything extreme, there's going to be some sort of downside to it. And that's just life for you. But again, on the positive side of things, like, you look fucking great. Like, there's nothing cooler than waking up and seeing a new vein popping out somewhere, seeing like new lines popping out somewhere. And as I say, it's like just that enjoyment of pushing yourself to the fucking limits. It's almost like monk-like. It's like, how disciplined can I be, and how much suffering can I go through to get to that fucking goal? Which there's something cool about it. There's something that you can embrace about how shit it is. When it's hurting a lot of the time, it's like, well, maybe I'm just getting to that next level. If it's really hurting and you're not getting any better, well, that's a fucking problem too. But like, when it is really hurting, and you can kind of almost, as I say, embrace that and be like, well, I'm heading the right direction if this is the case. If you're a coach, obviously, in a sense, I think it's good for business on the whole. There's obviously the downsides, as I say, the brain fog, the potential time constraints, that, applying more time to your own training rather than your client's training. Well, I wouldn't say that, because you still make sure you get everything done, but it's like, for me, it's like, the hierarchy is like client work here, I suppose, like social media work and things like that, like content, things like that. This is the reason I'm doing this on a fucking Sunday, for example. But like, the time constraints obviously eat into doing things, and like, unfortunately for you guys, like, the podcast is like way down there, and that's just the way it is. It's like, obviously our client work comes first, and like James obviously competing today, that's going to come first for him over doing the podcast. You know what I mean? So like, there's things like that where you might not be able to give 110% to your business like you usually would, because you're giving so much time to other things, and that's just part of it. But it shows you practice what you preach. You're showing your journey. You're showing that you're taking yourself to the next level, and like, people generally want to be behind someone that's going somewhere. Like, if I was hiring a coach, I wouldn't want to hire someone who didn't look after themselves, didn't like train properly, eat properly, and weren't working towards some sort of goal. Like, I'd want someone that I was inspired by as well, which would be pretty cool. So hopefully, like, it gives your clients that kind of inspiration. And I think my clients enjoy hearing about it, and they ask about it, and like, they ask, oh, what are you doing? Oh, you're cutting your carbs out for 3 days. All right, cool. What are you doing that? And then you're carbing up, and oh yeah, how's that feeling? Blah blah blah. Like, I think clients really enjoy that as well. So yeah, they like to see you pushing yourself to the limits, because for me, it's something that most of my clients aren't ever going to do, but they still appreciate, like, wow, fuck, if this guy can do this, then I can do my 10,000 steps today. You know what I mean? So I think that there definitely is benefits to it, definitely is, and then you can start creating like a wee trophy shelf up the top there. But like, if you're in it for that, you're in it for the wrong thing. You know what I mean? Like, you've got to enjoy your training, and you've got to enjoy that. Like, enjoying your training is the first thing, because there's definitely people out there nowadays that compete for the kind of glory of it, the likes on Instagram, which you do get, obviously, and it's nice. I suppose it's nice, and then trophies and things like that. Like, there's people that do it for that, and they're doing it for the wrong reasons. It's always going to be hard if you're doing it for the wrong reasons. But if you're doing it because you love training, and you would train and eat like that anyway, then fuck yeah, go for it, fucking do it. But you just got to weigh up the pros and the cons and be like, look, is it worth the trade-off to you? Is it worth all those downsides for the little positives, I suppose, that come with it? But, as I say, it depends on you as a person. It depends on what you want to do. Is it worth to Lionel Messi all the fucking hours he's fucking committed towards becoming the best footballer in the world? Don't debate me on that, but you know what I mean. Is it worth it to him? Absolutely. He makes money out of that, to be fair. You don't make money out of natural bodybuilding. That would have been a positive if you did, but you don't directly. But there's another thing. You potentially could, because if it's good for your coaching business, if it's getting you out there, if it's growing your coaching business, then you're going to make money out of it as a result. If you pick up some sort of like supplement brand deals or like some sort of sponsorships, then that's going to help make you money as well. I know at least 2 natural bodybuilders. I know that's bad, I only know 2, but that have got like fairly decent like kind of deals with supplement brands and clothing brands and things like that actually pay them money. So like, there is potential for that. It's less common in natural bodybuilding, but there is still potential for that. It's more nowadays. It's not how good a bodybuilder you are, I suppose. It's how good a social media person you are. But like, you know, look at like Keefe West, for example. He's got like a gas kind of sponsorship. He's got quite a few different things, but the gas one was a huge one because like they don't tend to sponsor natural athletes, and they sponsored him. So like, you know, the potential is there. And then you've got like Nate Williams, things like that, got Grenade, and it's a Boohoo or something that's like sponsored him. So like, you know, the potential is there for that. The potential is there for, you know, making money out of this sport. And then pro shows, you do get paid money for doing pro shows, but I don't think it's much worth shouting about, because by the time you travel to show, by the time you buy tan, by the time you buy the food, it's not paying for itself. But yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. I think that's my summary of, is it worth getting fucking shredded? I should have called it that. Should have put fucking in the title. Some people, you know, I've been swearing on social media and that. Some people have got things to say about that. Even friends of mine that will swear all the time. They're like, oh, I don't know about you swearing in your marketing. But you know what? Like, what is the point in pretending to be professional? Like, not pretend to be professional, because I am professional. I'm professional in my delivery. But when I'm speaking to a client, I'll most of the time I'll swear. I'll kind of cater it to who's in front of me, to be fair, but like, you know, most of the clients that come through the door for me are people that don't mind that sort of thing. But yeah, there's definitely people have made a few comments now about like about some of my like posts and that, and they're like, oh, don't know about you swearing on that, it looks really unprofessional. I'm not really trying to look professional. I'm trying to portray me, you know what I mean? And so that you know who you're getting as a coach. You're not getting some guy who's, you know, shirt and tie on Instagram, but then the minute you get a check-in video from me, I'm like, yeah, well, fucking this and fucking that. Like, at least you'll know that I'm going to fucking swear. And yeah, that's that. I don't know how I got onto that little rant at the end there, but yeah, going to call it a day at that, guys. So thanks for tuning in. Hopefully that gives you a little bit of insight into getting absolutely peeled. I don't want you guys to get the wrong impression from this either. It is really cool. I really do enjoy it, but there are definitely some downsides. And if you're going to do something like that, I want you to consider the downsides. I want you to know what you're getting into, rather than just jumping in balls deep and being like, shit, I didn't expect this.